Hi everyone, Jeff at Sega Replay here again with another quick tutorial to help you out with your Dreamcast again. This time what we're going to do is increase the power to the laser so that we can start reading discs again. Now this is not foolproof and I'm not going to go into all the technical details behind it, but what this can help with is if your Dreamcast is no longer reading OEM discs, or in more particularly if you're trying to use CDRs that burned games, then this will oftentimes help with consoles that can no longer read those, or if your console just never could read them. This can often be the solution. This unit in particular was my one of my original Dreamcasts. I had a launch Dreamcast from way back in the day, and that one had died many years ago. In fact, it died pretty early on. I was still in my Army days, and I had bought a new Dreamcast then. They were clearance by that point. And so this is one of the rare Model 2s before they had switched over the BIOS that can actually play burned games. And I've been using this one to play burned games for several years. And it finally, in November, stopped being able to read them, and also a few of my OEM games like Bang Gunship Elite. It's an old favorite of mine that's good to pick up and play, and it, for whatever reason, could no longer read that one. So, and that's an OEM disc. But it's completely stopped reading any burn discs at this point, and so we're going to use this simple little fix to allow this to start working again for me. All right, so simply enough, and I know a lot of you are going to be intimidated by this if you have no technical knowledge. This is not, your forte, but it really is super easy, and it is something that anybody can do. So what I just did there is I've turned over my Dreamcast, and the first thing we're going to do, if you've never done this, is we're going to pop out the modem. It might be a little stiff if you haven't removed it before, but if you just push down on that and pull out, it will pop out. But like I said, if you haven't moved it before, it could be a little stiff. I always recommend leaving, setting your console, if you're doing any kind of work, on something soft underneath so you're not going to scratch it up or do any other kind of damage to it. All right, so once you have the modem removed, use a standard Phillips. This one here, I use one that's got a magnetized tip because it's real easy for doing this kind of work. But most Phillips will work. Just be careful not to strip them out. So if it's spinning around on the screw, then stop and get one with a different head that fits better. The Dreamcast is actually very simple to work on. They made it really easy to access everything inside. There's no special tricks to get inside, no special screws like some consoles have. So onto the next screw, you'll see that first one was underneath the modem, and there's only 3 more to get inside. And the other 3, we don't have to do anything special to get at them. They're all just right here. Some consoles, you got to like remove little feet or use special kinds of heads to be able to remove them, hex heads and other kinds of weird keys. But fortunately, Sega wasn't too worried about that with this console. And it's pretty easy to get at. All right, so you see I'm already onto the 4th screw. This is just a really easy console to get into. And there we go. And you see why I like to use a magnetic tip there. It allows things to pop right out. Now, the console should pop right open. If you feel it catching on anything, just kind of open it up a little slower, and if you see anything getting stuck in there, you can just move it free, but there really shouldn't be anything. It should just open right up nice and clean. You saw when mine there was opening up, it did catch on this. That's because this is an aftermarket power supply. The power supply had died in this actually earlier this year too. I guess this thing is just getting a little aged, and so I had replaced it. That's a whole different tutorial, but that's why that got stuck there. That shouldn't happen with yours. You'll have a long board in here that'll fill this entire spot. If it's an OEM Dreamcast, it'll be a big long board here, and that's the original power supply. All right, so once we've got the lid in here, we'll set that aside. Now, some tutorials will have you go through and disconnect some of these other cables to get inside at the laser. I suppose technically you should, but I've done this a bunch of times, and it's never, it's never been an issue for me not to do that. Your ribbon cable might be a little tighter than mine, so you might have to remove a few, basically what I'm talking about here is you've got some of these little cables that you might have to disconnect, but you probably shouldn't have to. This is a pretty simple fix and doesn't really require that much effort. Now, when you open this up, you'll see here, and get this right up in here, there's a clip right down here that clips these cables, and you might have to pop the cables out of it. Don't be afraid to say take like a Phillips head screwdriver, and you can even pop it in there. Just make sure you don't snap any of these wires. Obviously, that's important not to snap the wires, but basically what you just need to know is you're going to want to remove it out of that little harness there, that little clip that's holding those cables in, so you can have some freedom to move your laser drive around. Now, once I've got it removed here, if your ribbon cable here is kind of stuck down in there or a little stiff, I mean, it might be, you should have a little give though, like I have here. And you shouldn't have to remove this. I wouldn't recommend removing it. I have had to remove these before, and they can be a pain to reconnect. But if yours does pull out, don't freak out. It can be reconnected, and to reconnect it, you simply push it back in there. It's just kind of a pain because of the angle. And, if you ever run into that, feel free to shoot me a message and I can walk you through it. Okay, so you saw that. It's really simple. 4 screws. We popped this right open. We removed the wires from the little clip on the side there, and we've flipped over the laser drive here. And all we're looking for is this right here. I'll try to move this up to the camera for you. You can see that little screw there that's got the red, that little red dab. Hopefully you can see that good in the camera. I have a point to it with my screwdriver here. That one right there. That's the one we're looking for, that little screw right there. That's all we need. That's how you adjust the intensity of the laser. People ask, why do we need to do this? I've had different answers from different people. One of the theories is that over time, from the movement within the drive itself, because this does move back and forth inside of here, or just the jostling around of the Dreamcast over the years, that this little screw works its way back slowly. Whether that's true or not, I don't know. It seems reasonable to me. And that could be part of the reason the laser gets weaker, or the laser's just getting weaker. The Dreamcast had a notoriously lower quality for Sega laser unit, and that had a lot to do with the economics of the time, that Sega was getting short on money. So they had to use a lower quality laser in this, whereas you look at like the Sega Saturn, and it seems like the laser in that thing lasts, that's a brick. It just lasts and lasts. Yeah, some of them do go out, but boy, those really do last. Even the Sega CD tends to really last a long time. Those are getting up in age, so it's probably more failing just out of pure age. But regardless, the Dreamcast laser, it's a little bit on the weak side. So we see a lot of Dreamcasts that have bad lasers, or people are saying, well, it turns on, but it won't read discs anymore. And it's amazing how many of these units I've gotten where I could just adjust the laser there and it's reading again. Now, is that a permanent fix? It kind of depends on how much you use the Dreamcast. I would assess that if you're having to do this, your laser's probably on its way out. Can I back that up with a great in-depth technical explanation? No, I can't. That's just a theory based on my exposure to these things and listening to other people talk about them, and again, my own experience. I would say that because I'm having to do that with this unit here, I'm going to guess that probably in the next year or so, I'll end up having to replace this whole laser unit, but maybe I won't. Some people adjust the laser and they're still using it years later. So it's kind of hit and miss on that. I don't want you to panic and think, oh, my Dreamcast is about to die. There's plenty of solutions to fix these things, GDEMU or replace the laser, so don't freak out about that. But for our purposes today, this will get you back up and running. And if you're wanting to be able to get more affordable Dreamcast games, then, you know, CDRs is an amazing option. And this is one way that you can likely fix that issue of not being able to do that. All right, so this screw that's right here, and what's going to fit inside of it, it could vary. It's based on what tools you have. You can just use this. In my case, I'm just using a small, tiny little flathead. Get this up in front of you there. It's not a special tool or anything. This is a little screwdriver I use for electronics, but, you know, whatever works for you. Again, with the other, like with the other screws, don't strip this out. Be very careful not to strip out this screw. So all you're going to do now, after all that talking and long-windedness on my part, is all you have to do is get in here with your screwdriver. Oh, I have to hold that in here so it doesn't move on me again. And yeah, that's probably a good thing to point out, because this thing here will move freely. This is the laser, and this is the little rails that it moves up and down on when you hear it reading. It moves up and down on these. So you might have to hold it in place like I am right here. But with this screw, all you're going to do is make a small little 1/8 turn to it. And I'm not going to do it right now because I'm getting in my late 40s and I need to put on my my special glasses to be able to see up close what I'm doing. And sitting back here and being able to film this, I can't quite get in. So I'm just going to tell you guys what to do. But yeah, you just get in the screwdriver here and just turn it a little, like an 1/8 of a turn. Don't turn it a lot. My understanding, I've never tried this, so I'm not going to find out for sure. But my understanding is if you turn it up too high, you'll just straight burn your laser out. So I would err on the side of caution. Just give it a little 1/8 turn, and then you can put it back together, test it out, and see if it reads discs. I wouldn't put all my screws back in. I wouldn't put the modem in. What I would do is just set the shell back on. There's actually a way you can do it without that, but I'll just say it's simple for most people, just to put the laser drive back in and put your Dreamcast shell back on, plug it in, pop a disc in, see if it works. If it doesn't work, then you can go back in and do another 1/8 turn and try it again. I've never had to do that, but I've heard other guys mention that they had to make a couple adjustments on Dreamcasts, whether it was every Dreamcast or I doubt that, but probably from time to time they've had to actually do a couple times before they got the intensity level they needed to be able to read discs again. But it's really that simple, guys. You're removing 4 screws. You're popping these wires out of that little clip there. You're flipping this over. And you're turning that screw with that little red on there. And now there's different variations of the laser drive, so yours could look slightly different from mine. If your laser drive looks different from mine, and you're looking at it and you're not seeing what you're seeing in this video, just Google around on even YouTube, and there's multiple other guys who've done the same exact tutorial, and check and see what theirs look like. And I'm sure you'll be able to figure it out from those videos, because sure, I'm certain that probably some of the other YouTubers have done this, showing different models of laser. But my understanding is that they all generally have roughly the same appearance, so that shouldn't be an issue. And I believe that this is the more common laser that I have in this one. That, again, my understanding. But that's really it, guys. It's a very simple fix that doesn't require a lot of technical know-how to do. And that's one of the beautiful things about it, because this is something where you can get your Dreamcast back up and running without having to shell out a bunch of money on replacing components or paying somebody to fix it. It really is a simple, very simple fix. Oh, it looks like I need some soldering over here. So that's it, guys. If you ever have any questions, feel free to shoot me up in the comments or email me, jeff@segareplay.com. I'm happy to answer any questions I can to the best of my knowledge and provide any support to my fellow gamers. All right, guys, take care.